And we know how good Lamar is. He's a two-time MVP, but he's yet to break through, get to a Super Bowl, and or win a Super Bowl championship. But his owner, the Ravens owner, Steve Bisciotti, responded to a question where he was asked about what he envisions for the Ravens franchise 30 years from now. And CC, here's what he said. I want to win now. I want to win with these guys. He understands the special talent that he has in Lamar Jackson, and he knows his window to win is now. But by saying that publicly, did he put pressure on Lamar to get it done?
I don't think it's putting pressure on Lamar as much as it is putting pressure on everybody in the organization to take advantage of having a talent like Lamar Jackson, right? This is a guy that's a two-time MVP through his first 7 seasons in the league. This is a player that could go down as the best player in Ravens history. And this is a franchise that's had a lot of all-timers, right? Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Jonathan Ogden. I mean, you got a lot of all-time great players. Terrell Suggs, Haloti Ngata, like amazing, amazing players that will have gold jackets or already have gold jackets. And Lamar can be the best of all of them. And to not have an opportunity to even get to a Super Bowl, let alone win one, is an absolute travesty. So I understand where Steve Bisciotti is coming from. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens are 3-6 over their last 6 trips to the postseason, and all of those playoff trips, you're talking about them never winning more than one game and being one and done, not 1, not 2, but 3 times.
Yeah.
So that's a problem if you're the owner looking at the scenario and trying to figure out, what we need to do as an organization in order to get Lamar Jackson to the championship rounds and see if he can bring another Lombardi back to Baltimore. Yeah,
Lamar, 70-24 since he's been a starter. We know that during the regular season, it's been no problem for Lamar. He basically owns the NFC.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the playoffs, the results have been less than desirable. But in order...
Yeah, he's 3-5 in 8 starts in the playoffs, 60% completion percentage, 10 touchdowns to 7 picks.
Ooh.
It's not what you're looking for.
Ugh.
He's not the same quarterback in the postseason. As a matter of fact, the Baltimore Ravens aren't the same team in the postseason. And I'm not going to completely absolve Lamar of blame because, of course, the quarterback, it begins and ends with him. But we got to start looking at John Harbaugh a little bit. They just gave him a contract extension, took care of his money. Now, Harbs has got to make sure that he takes care of his business and puts this team in position where they're being at their best when their best is required. And so often we've talked about how the Baltimore Ravens have an identity crisis once they get into the playoffs.
Right.
Whatever they do in the regular season, they don't carry it over into the playoffs, and they get bounced. And so we get tired of seeing that. And it felt like in that game against the Buffalo Bills in the divisional round, it was more of the same. We had the consequential mistakes by Mark Andrews in the fourth quarter, right? Remember, he catches that pass, then he tries to cross over the entire defense downfield, ends up fumbling the ball, and then, of course, on the 2-point conversion, he drops the pass. Game, set, match for Buffalo. Those are uncharacteristic mistakes from Baltimore. You don't see that. I mean, Lamar Jackson tripping over himself under center, like coming from center. I mean, there are just so many different mistakes. And then the fumbles from Lamar Jackson. There's so many different mistakes from the Baltimore Ravens in that Buffalo Bills game that we didn't see all season long.
Right.
And so we have to put it on the players because they're the guys in between the white lines. But you also have to put some of it on coaching. And that's why I think coming into 2025, there's going to be a lot of attention paid to John Harbaugh.
I still can't believe 2 years ago in the AFC Championship game versus the Chiefs, they abandoned the run. I still cannot believe that they did that because that was when I thought that they had their best opportunity. But you mentioned that their coach, John Harbaugh, got an extension. Well, you know who's up next to get paid again is Lamar Jackson. He had a 5-year, $260 million extension years ago. He's going to have to get paid again soon. His coach, Ravens head coach John Harbaugh, talked about Lamar and that looming extension. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, I mean, the value is the top. I mean, when Lamar gets paid, he's going to be the highest paid player in football. Just like he was last time. I think every contract he signs, probably until he decides to hang up his cleats, he's going to be that guy.
Okay, so Coach Harbaugh there is saying, Cece, that Lamar Jackson is going to be the highest paid player in football when he does get this extension. So we talk about the Ravens being able to get it done in the regular season, not break through in the postseason. When the head coach gets extended and, the quarterback is going to get extended, and he's certainly not going anywhere. When we talk about championship or bust, that kind of takes some of the bust out of that equation when you know that there isn't going to be something very consequential that could happen if they don't break through and get to and or win a Super Bowl in the next couple of years. So would you put the Ravens in that conversation still as a championship or bust team?
I'm going to say it is championship or bust, and it might not be because something is going to change, but it might be in terms of their overall legacy. Because at some point, if you don't break through, then you get known, you get labeled as the quarterback or the head coach. Well, not necessarily quarterback, but not necessarily head coach, but the quarterback that can't win the big one. And it will reflect poorly on John Harbaugh's legacy as well. Like, I understand Harbs won it in 2012 with Joe Flacco as his quarterback, but there would be questions about John Harbaugh and whether or not his leadership is what the Baltimore Ravens need moving forward, right? I mean, when he won in 2012, he had guys like Ray Lewis and Ed Reed in that locker room, and Terrell Suggs and Haloti Ngata. Those guys ain't there no more. And so it's a matter of the head coach being able to provide that leadership that the organization has always been known to have. And when you have a two-time MVP quarterback, a guy that won a unanimous MVP, it would be a travesty if you don't even give him an opportunity in the big game because your team can't get to the Super Bowl.
I randomly just had Aaron Rodgers pop into my head because of what you always say about him. If he does, in fact, go to Pittsburgh, it becomes a done deal, and he does not have success there. Let's just hypothetically say Mike Tomlin has his first losing season, and it's a disaster for Pittsburgh. The way it ended in Green Bay, coupled with the 2 years in the Jets, 5 wins in total, they were worse after he left the Jets than when he joined them. And then if that would happen with the Steelers, you always say that is going to weigh more than what happened earlier in his career with Green Bay.
Yes.
We're going to remember that more than the 4 MVPs and the Super Bowl.
Correct.
I wonder if the same would be true with John Harbaugh. If you have Lamar Jackson as your quarterback, and during that entire tenure, you never win and or make a Super Bowl, does that weigh heavier than winning a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco?
Yes.
It does.
Yes, it does. It does. I mean, listen, John Harbaugh is on a Hall of Fame trajectory. Make no mistake about it. I think he's one of the finest coaches in the NFL, but I can't keep calling him one of the best coaches in the league if your team keeps coming up small in the biggest moments. I just can't keep doing it. I mean, think about it. Their last 6 trips to the playoffs, they've never won more than 1 game in any of those trips, and they've been one and done 3 times with a 2-time MVP quarterback. At some point, something about that has to change, and the Baltimore Ravens are giving him a vote of confidence. That's why they gave him an extension. They're about to do the same for Lamar Jackson. Now, I think it's more of good bookkeeping with the Lamar extension because after this season, he has a $74.5 million cap hit in 2026 and 2027. There's no way that the team can go into the season with that big of a hit. So they're going to have to give him more money in order to lower the number, lower the math, his impact on the overall salary cap and roster building. But Lamar Jackson is every bit worth the money that they're going to pay him. It's just a matter of whether or not the head coach, John Harbaugh, can get the most out of Lamar by making sure he gets the most out of the pieces around Lamar. And that's the part that hasn't happened in the postseason. And that's basically how we're going to judge the Baltimore Ravens moving forward. We're essentially putting them in the territory of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Nothing you do in the regular season matters. They can have the best record in the regular season. Lamar can win another MVP, have an MVP caliber campaign, be first-team All-Pro. They can do all the things. But we're going to judge the Baltimore Ravens on whether or not Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh can break through